What's up, everybody? Brian here to kind of talk to you about the whole situation in wrestling right now. I recently listened to a new, I guess you could say, wrestling MMA show on YouTube, which is which has been conducted like how mine is right now, and that show is called Inside the Ring with Mike and Ray. Now, that show combined with the other shows that I watch, like J Dub Show and RHS Styles and No DQ Wrestling, one of the main things is even that's being talked about, and I've talked about this in a couple of videos, is Hulk Hogan signing with TNA. Now, a lot of people want to know how TNA reacts to this. Because this past Thursday night I watched Impact, and I saw I guess you could say, the staff meeting, the legitimate staff meeting that Dixie Carter had with TNA, with the TNA wrestlers, knockouts, referees, and announcers. And she basically said, and I quote, if I can quote this correctly, she basically told them that after everything she's giving them, her support, her love, her friendship, and all that, and respect, and above all respect, that she is hoping she gives the same back to her and supports her in these new ventures and changes that are happening in TNA. Most importantly, the venture and change of that comes along with the likes of Hulk Hogan. Now, to some fans out there, this is a good thing for TNA because it'll help put TNA on the map and, make WWE stand up and take notice finally. While others feel as though it's not a good thing for TNA, and others feel as though Dixie Carter's speech on Impact, her little speech to the in that staff meeting to the TNA wrestlers, knockouts, referees, and announcers, was basically in these kind of fans' own minds who think it's not a good idea of Hogan coming into TNA. That in their own minds, Dixie is basically saying, "Hey, this is Hulk Hogan's ship now. You're either gonna set sail with him, or you can just stay left behind and look for some other way to make a living or to set sail on your adventure, if you will." I know that probably didn't make sense, but what I'm saying is, in people's minds that don't agree with TNA bringing in Hulk Hogan and putting him into the position that some people are saying he's going to be in, that Hulk Hogan is basically going to destroy TNA, and that Dixie Carter's, like I said, her speech last night, I mean not last night, but a couple of nights ago on Impact, was basically her way again of saying, this is Hulk Hogan's show now, and whether and if you don't like it, you can leave. You're free to leave, go do whatever the hell you want, try to make a living elsewhere. But this is Hogan's show now. You're either with it or you're not. It's his ship. You're either sailing with him as your captain, or you can stay behind on what's going to be a deserted island and try to make a living that way. That's how many fans feel that basically what Dixie Carter was saying to the TNA locker room this past Thursday night with her speech. Now, I'm not a fan. Now, honestly, I'm not a fan of Dixie Carter, but you got to give the woman a chance. Because let's face facts. Hulk Hogan doesn't just answer to Dixie Carter. He answers to her father, Bob Carter. So if Dixie feels as though Hogan and Bischoff are not living up to the end of the bargain, the end of the agreement, the end of the partnership, then she can go straight to her father and say, "Hey, I need you to call Hogan. I need you to talk to him. You got the authority. I don't." And that's all that needs to happen. And if he doesn't live up, like I said, to his end of the bargain. But if you read everything, all these media media outlets, from newspapers to television and radio shows that Hogan has been on, promoting his Hulkamania tour in Australia, his his book about his life in the wrestling ring, and about signing with TNA. One of the things that he brings up about signing with TNA is that he wants to give back to the wrestling business that made him by helping out these young athletes, the young wrestlers, learn the true art of the business. So if someone like Hogan could say, "Hey, I want to help by giving back to the business and helping the young athletes have a better understanding," then who's to say it's not going to be who's to say it's not going to be a good thing? I mean, think about it. Think about it for one instance, and I mentioned this in my two previous videos where you saw me on screen when I talked about this. I said I have a feeling, and I'm pretty sure some of you can agree with me or not, but I have a feeling Dixie Carter and her father and everyone else that are above Hulk Hogan probably sat down with him and Bischoff and said, "Hey, look, you'll be able to do what you want, but leave things the way they are. We have a knockouts division that's on fire. We don't need you to change that. We have a tag team in the next division that's on fire. We have a world champion that's over with the fans. We don't need you to change anything unless you feel it's necessary." Okay? That's what I feel her and her father and everybody above Hogan at Panda Media, at Panda Energy, and at TNA management in Nashville and Orlando probably told Hogan and Bischoff. They said, "Hey, look, you can come in, you can make matches, you can book whoever you feel deserves to be booked, you can push who you feel needs to be pushed, but don't change anything. And don't like push yourselves, don't push people close to you, don't bring in people that are close to you and push them to the top. It's about the young athletes." Because let's not forget, before Dixie Carter and TNA partnered with Hulk Hogan and Bischoff, Dixie was all about the youth movement, and I'm pretty sure she's still about that. And that's, like I said, that's probably what she told Hogan when they got together and they finalized this deal. That he needs to be in support of the young athletes. He needs to help push them and not himself or anybody aligned with him. Now, the question is but another question. And as far as Jim Neidhart showing up on Impact this Thursday, and in case you don't know, it is rumored he's going to show up as one of the first legends to face Black Machismo. This, had been scheduled ahead of time before Hogan and Bischoff signed with TNA. So that takes care of that. Now, as far as how WWE, another question a lot of fans have is how are they going to react? Well, a lot of people feel as though WWE, the only way they're going to be able to prove they're still the #1 organization in the world is to do exactly what a lot of people, including myself, say they need to do. And that's go from the TV PG rating that they're in right now, or as they like to call it, the PG-13 rating, and go straight to TV 14/MA on occasions rating. That's what they need to do. Go back to that TV 14 and on occasions TV MA rating, because that's what's going to bring people in. Now, how can they do that? Seeing as though John Cena is, a huge marketing icon right now for them as the champion, and targets that and through that is targeted toward little kids and young ladies. How are you supposed to do that? Well, let's face facts. Let's look at something. I think WWE is trying their best to, get Hogan to change. Not Hogan, but get Cena to change or get back to that attitude era they had. That's what I believe they're trying to do. But I want you to notice something. Instead of going with Cena as the, going heel, they instead go with Batista. Now I want you to notice something. Even though SmackDown is taped and the audience is sort of, I guess you could say, dubbed over, I want you to notice something. During a live event, fans actually cheer Batista because he's got this new rebellious attitude. Do what he wants, says what he wants. Basically, he's got this attitude. That's the direction a lot of people say WWE needs to go in. Start with someone like Batista, continue on with someone like Randy Orton, continue going on with this whole Kofi Kingston deal, and then possibly sooner or later, very slowly, get John Cena to start doing the same thing. That's what they need to do. And honestly, I think this is the opportunity WWE's been looking for. Yeah, I honestly do. I mean, I think WWE has been waiting for TNA to make a move like this so that they could finally have an excuse and have a reason to go back to that attitude era that made them who they are. I believe this is what they've been waiting for, and now they have the opportunity to finally pull the trigger, if you will, and say, TNA, you want a war? You want to sign Hogan? Well, here's what you're dealing with now. Because basically, in their minds, they're saying, hey, you think you can be hardcore and attitude-wise? So can we. And that's why I feel is going to happen, and that's all I have to say on this situation.